Hello and welcome. In this video, we're going to look at how to use the sine rule. First of all, what is the sine rule? The sine rule allows us to find missing lengths and angles of non-right angle triangles. So triangles that don't have a right angle. So a triangle that uses the sine rule could look like this, where there's no right angle. So like that's not a right angle. These are all non-right angles. So when we're using the sine rule, the first thing we're going to want to do is label this triangle with A, B, and C. So let's label the corners as A, B, and C. It doesn't matter what corner is A, B, or C, so just choose them randomly. So we can make this A, this B, and this C. And then you're also going to want to label a lowercase a, b, and c directly opposite of the corners, so on the side lengths. So this is going to be lowercase a because it's directly opposite to this corner. And we're going to do the same for b and c. So b will be here and c will be here. So now we have a, b, and c as our capitals for the corners, and a, b, and c as our side lengths in lowercase. Now we can use our formula. So there are two formulas for the sine rule that you will use depending on whether you're finding the length of a side or the angle. So if you're finding the length, you're going to use this formula. A over sine big A is equal to B over sine big B, which is equal to C over sine big C. So that's the sine rule formula if we're finding the length of a missing side. However, if we're finding the angle, it's that same formula, except we're going to find the reciprocal, so we're just going to switch everything. So whatever was on the top, now put it on the bottom. So that becomes sine of A over A equals, and so on. So now that we have our two formulas and we know which we use in different situations, we can now look at an example. So let's say we have this triangle here where this side is 5.8 meters, this angle is 68 degrees, and this angle is 47 degrees. So the other very important thing to note is whenever you're using the sine rule, you have to have two values that are opposite of each other. So here we have this value here, which is opposite of this angle, or in other words, have both the uppercase and lowercase of a letter, as well as one other value. So in this case, it's this angle here, which then allows us to find the final side or angle that we need to find. And in this case, that is C. So we're trying to find this side length here, meaning we're going to use the length formula. So this top one. As you can see, we have three values. So we'll have three values in this formula, and then we'll have one that we're missing that we're trying to find. So in this case, we're trying to find C. In this case, we don't have big A or little a, so we can ignore this part of the formula. That means we have four values here. We have three of those values. We have little b, big B, and big C, meaning we are left with just little c. So we can now sub these values into this equation here and rearrange to find little c, which will give us this side length. So the formula for this part of the example is not using a, so we'll just have b over sine b is equal to c over sine big C. And if we plug our values in, we have b, lowercase b, as 5.8, so we have 5.8, over sine big B, so we have sine, and big B is 47. And that's equal to little c, which is what we're trying to find, over sine big C, which is 68. And now we can simply rearrange to find little c, giving us this side length. So if we do that, let's multiply both sides by sine 68 to get little c by itself. That will give us little c is equal to 5.8 sine 68 over sine 47. And this is an okay answer, but if you want this to a decimal place, so you can see how many meters to say 2 decimal places this is, just type this into your calculator and round it to 2 decimal places. So if we do that, we will get 7.35 meters. Meaning this side length here, or C, is equal to 7.35 meters. So that's an example of how we use the sine rule to find a missing angle or side length of a non-right angle triangle. So just to recap, this only works for non-right angle triangles, and if you're trying to find the length, you use this formula, whereas if you're trying to find the angle, you'll use this formula. And this works when you have two values directly opposite of each other, or the uppercase and lowercase of a letter, as well as one other value where you're trying to find the fourth value, which in our case was this length here, or C, and we rearrange this formula to find that value, giving us that side or angle length. Anyway, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you next time.